Here we are. It's Sam and Ben, and yeah, we're going to do like a little pairing on some sort of a I think you've done a pull request on an open source project, isn't that right, Ben?
Yeah, so we're using Flask for which is a Python kind of micro framework at work, and so we use that for our API, and we needed to get CSRF protection.
Right.
So we have like a kind of, I don't know how common this is, but we allow authentication to the endpoints using cookies or using OAuth. And so like, because we have a native Mac app, so
right,
it uses OAuth, but the browser can also hit some of the same endpoints using cookies. So we need the CSRF protection for the cookies, but like when it's being requested with the browser. But for the Mac app, it's not handling CSRF. It doesn't really need that. So because that attack is not wouldn't really work through OAuth. But so we're using the CSRF library, and we basically want to be able to only use it when when the request is being authenticated with cookies. But the way that the library is set up, which is Flask CSRF, yeah, here's the pull request. It doesn't really. So what we want to be able to do basically is we have like an auth module that where we run through all these different validation methods, like authentication methods, and we want to be able to like selectively use the CSRF validation only if cookies are being used for authentication.
Right, and only in certain circumstances. Yeah.
And it's not really built for that, or it would just be awkward and kind of repetitive to use it that way.
Right.
So I added this thing that basically, so basically normally you would enable it and it would be enabled for all endpoints, which is not and it would run like before our auth module would run, so it would kind of screw up the app. Anyway,
yeah,
this is all kind of beside the point, but
I think it's great to have a picture, the bigger picture. Maybe I can reflect some of that back to you just and make some notes here. So the Flask CSRF project here, then that it's kind of like a plugin for Flask. Is that right? So we've got Flask CSRF now. So and you've got this is then the work, closed source stuff or what have you, involves a Flask app, which is presumably is on the server, and you've got some different clients that consume content from that or authenticate via that and so on, and some of them need some of the, like you're saying, the Mac client doesn't really care about cookies, and then there's another, then sometimes there's like a web client which would care about cookies, and so you kind of want the CSRF enabled on, as a function of the request coming in. Is that right?
Yeah. So in other words, it's kind of set up to be sort of deployed globally across all your endpoints, and then you can exempt certain endpoints. But what we actually want to do is run it manually at like this single point in this module that handles authentication. We just want to invoke it when those cookies are present, and we know that we're trying to authenticate in that way. And there wasn't really a way to do this.
Oh, so sure. That makes sense. And so, go on. Yeah, you put in the pull request, which
so I have Python 3.6 on my laptop, and I created a pull request. Everything seemed fine. I added the tests for it. If you go through here, you'll probably see the tests in there. Everything seemed fine, and then the
API was.
Yeah, so he basically seems to be kind of working on other stuff. I mean, who knows if he even used Flask anymore, but he has this project out there. So he So he let it sit there for a while, and then so we're basically running a fork on our in production right now.
Right.
I would kind of like to just move it back into the main line if possible. Sure. So I, pinged him to see if he was still like maintaining it. I guess he is, but since the tests were not passing, he closed the pull request. The tests are failing on the master branch. You can see if you look in there, try the CI thing, you see that the tests are failing on master as well.
For Python 3.3 and 3.5.
Yeah, and then on mine, when I submitted mine, 3.4 also failed. Was the difference?
Okay. Now I'm sort of looking here, and I mean, obviously you got the link to them failing on master.
Oh yeah, if you click the
I think
yeah, no, it's kind of hard to find.
It's right. I think particularly when it closes, when they're open, it has a bigger thing, doesn't it, that shows you where it is. So now, okay, there we go. Right. And you were saying you have Python 3.6 locally, is that right?
Yeah, and so the whole time I was developing this, I was using 3.6, and everything was passing. So I have a theory about what's going on here. And I think it only affects the tests, and it's not a code issue, or not, I think it only affects the tests. So my theory is that, okay, the other thing about it is, like, when I run this, I built a Docker image with Python 3.5, got the code running in there, and when I start up the container, it just runs the test and then closes. So when I run those, it will sporadically fail. Like sometimes it passes, sometimes it fails. And the other thing, so what happened in Python 3.6 is that, or one change that happened at that point is dictionaries became ordered by default. So previously, Python dictionaries were not ordered like, traditionally in most languages. In at least C Python 3.6, they made them ordered, but as kind of like it wasn't in the spec yet, but they did it in the implementation. And then I think in 3.7 or 3.8, they made them. I think it was 3.7. They made them like they made it part of the spec that dictionaries are like by default always ordered. So my guess right now, my hunch is that it has to do with this change.
Interesting. Yes, and so I was just getting myself situated. I pulled up the master branch locally. I've got Python 3.6.5 set up. I guess in order to run the tests, we want to do Python setup PyTest like that, which would pass locally. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, let me see what I've got in my file here. Yeah. Oh, what? Yeah, I guess you can do that. What I've actually been doing is just running the test csurf.py directly, but I guess that's all. I think that's all that does. The setup.py just
So certainly, yeah. I mean, we've got this version that works locally for me. This might seem like just boring throat clearing. There's a kind of sort of ritual though that I tend to go through, like when looking at things, is even just to like validate that it's like a sanity check. You're seeing that it all passes 3.6 on your machine. In the CI it passes there. We need to look at the other ones. I mean, it's not such a big deal in this case. I'm just sort of make sure that I've got all the bits and pieces to poke around locally. I just wanted to get your fork on there. So no, actually, that's your fork there. I mean, to the extent that you've got other versions of Python set up locally on yours, we could just, we don't have to worry too much about my machine. It's sort of force of habit that I'm auto setting up my machine. We could set up the VS Code live share, or even, you know, you could just be like taking me through and showing me some of the code on your machine, showing me the error that. So did you say that when you run it with Docker with 3.5 locally, you get an error that's, you know, that we can look at, or?
Yeah. Again, it's sporadic, which kind of makes me think it might be the ordering thing, because
right.
In that case, you know, sometimes it will be in order and sometimes it won't.
Sure. Yes. Right.
But
failures.
But yeah, I can show that to you, and I have it. I can share my screen, I guess, and then let me see. There's a little screen sharing button. Wait. Do I go up to? Oh yeah, where is the screen sharing button?
So if you mouse over the Hangout, there should be a little bar that appears on the left-hand side, and the second icon down is a green TV with an arrow, which will allow you to choose which screen you share.
Okay. So I'll share this one. Okay. So can you see this?
I can, yes. Okay. I've also got your codes locally on my site, just so I can play around. Oh, and you've got live share installed.
Yeah, I installed it this morning, so if you want, I could...
Yeah, if you want to click to join collaboration session. Oh, sorry, to start the collaboration session, yes. And then just on GitHub.
Okay, ready to cut it. So if I go back over here, is that going to show me the link now?
Yeah. Usually what happens is when one
invite
participants, there you go, it often copies the link directly onto your clipboard. And then there is a group chat in the Google Hangout that you can... Oh, it's an interesting... you've got a sort of a clipboard history.
Yeah, yeah, it was very cool. Okay, and the chat. All right, figuring out all these tools. Good.
All right. So yeah, so that'll get me in there, and I mean, not that necessarily I'll even have much to do, but yeah. So I've got that up. I've got that there with yours, and there'll be a sort of like shared code browsing to an extent, and so that's interesting. Okay, right. And so, right, I'm just navigating the project really for the first time and seeing that it's sort of like it's a single file, Flask CSurf, and then there's a single file of tests. So,
yeah, it's a very small project. So, I mean, hopefully, if my theory is right, I think we should be able to solve this relatively quickly.
Yeah.
But if not, maybe it'll be a little trickier, but there's not a huge amount of complexity here, so.
Sure.
Oh yeah. So anyway,
should we try and dissect one of the failures? I mean, you've obviously started doing that, but maybe just take me through your reasoning to get me up to speed.
Yeah. So it's still kind of a hunch at this point, but basically the failures, all the failures are the same, and they have the same basic assertion error, where it's comparing a cookie to the token that it should be seeing in the cookie, and one of them, the cookie token is none, and then the token that it's grabbing from the test context is has a value. So the assertion is failing. So if you dig into one of these tests, there's like a get cookie method and then a get token method. Apparently the get token one appears to be working, and the get cookie one appears to only work sometimes. So down here is get cookie, and so it's getting it's getting a list and a list of cookies from the response headers. And yeah, so this is the response being sent back by the library, and it's looping through that array, and then for each one, it is getting the item. So it's converting the dictionary. Let's see. I guess this parse cookie function returns a dictionary, and then it's getting the items from the dictionary, turning them in, and then it's converting it to a list for some reason, and then grabbing the first value out of the list, and then it's that value should be the key and the value from the dictionary, or that item of the dictionary, and then it's, if this is the cookie name that we're looking for, then it returns the value. So if I'm right about what's going on here, it's the fact that it's just assuming that the first cookie, or the first, I guess like the when it parses out the cookie and converts it to a dictionary of values, I guess it's assuming that there's only going to be one. And I think that it must be the first one is the one that it's definitely looking for, and that's why it passes in 3.6. And then, but there might be another one, and the ordering might be off. It would sometimes return the other one. I don't really know why there would be multiple values on here or anything like that. But that, if my theory is right, that's what's going on.
Right. Well, thanks. That's very helpful. One of the things that I often like to do is kind of trace back through from a particular failure. Now this particular test on here on line 552, I mean, I've got this up in another window. I can see this is written by this guy, Alan, presumably is the original maintainer. So this is not a test that you wrote, and the get cookie is kind of like a helper method that you also that he wrote. This list of in your terminal lower in the screen, we've got like various failures like line 3784.
Yeah.
Is this output from Python 3.5? What was the? I mean, are you sort of like just explain to me a little bit about how you've got Python 3.5 running there and you're accessing all the terminals, that you've sort of set up a Docker environment and connected the VS Code terminal to it, or?
Yeah, so when I run this,
yeah,
I'm just using Docker Compose because it seemed like the easiest, even though it's just one container. It seemed like the easiest way to just
wonderful
have it run. So that's fine. So there you saw like they passed.
Right.
And then if I do it a few times, it'll fail.
Right, as you're saying, it's intermittent. Occasionally we get the failures, and then fascinating.
So I mean the
and then
is just this.
I was looking at the Docker Compose Docker file. Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Excellent. Excellent.
Incredibly simple.
and then so there's a number of these tests are failing. Presumably some of them are tests you've introduced, and other ones are original tests from the so I mean, I'm seeing, if I look at the pull request, you've got a sort of a separate class called test case skip validation.
Yeah, so I think it's this test here. This third one is the one that I introduced that's failing. And then I think all the other three, I think, were pre-existing.
And so we look at those there. I mean, are they? So if we sort of take one of these, so this one here, like line 558. So so this is the one that you were actually just sort of talking through above there. Excuse me. So 558. So it's at the point at, when it's asserting equality between the cookie and the token. And so are all of these, so if we look at 502 and 432, that's lines 502 and 432. Are they? Let's have a look. Yeah, so they're all relying upon matching it. They're all using the get cookie thing.
Yeah, I believe so. So let's see. That's 502. What are the other ones here?
432.
432. Yeah, same thing. And 378. Yeah, same thing there.
Yeah, so there's a regular pattern there. And now interestingly, it now that's interesting. It looks like the get cookie function is redefined for every class.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess if we fix it somewhere, we either need to fix it in all of them, or
right, or somehow dry it out. But yeah, I mean, yeah, the key thing is being able to fix it in one place. Now, what I would be tempted to do here is be hooking things on the debugger to, I don't know if you prefer debugging or printing things out or what you like doing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in this case, I would probably just start with printing.
Sure.
But, yeah, I mean, I guess it just depends on like if I'm having to walk through code and stuff like that. But I usually start with printing and then move to
sure.
Yeah, as needed. But
yeah, I mean, if you've got a way to like the way that you would dive in here, go right ahead, and I'll follow along.
Yeah, this is. Let's see. Actually, okay. So the issue here, what we're thinking is, or what I'm thinking is, what is this parse like? I guess my first question is like, why are there multiple cookie like why are there multiple values in this cookie?
The interesting thing here is that the get cookie, we're getting a list of the set cookie. I mean, I guess this is, if I think about it, the set cookie command would be a communication from the server to the client.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be, I guess, or would it go the other way as well? I'm just thinking about where this fits in the you know, in the flow. I mean, we're looking at a response. So it's like an HTTP response of which one of the headers is set cookie, which that's pretty much always server to client, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think that what the test is trying to do here is when you make a request to when the client makes a request, the server should send back the CSRF token, and then the client should be sending that token back on a subsequent request to pass the validation, or at least as long as it's a post or put or whatever. Post.
You're talking about the test that's on like line 552.
No. Yeah. So what these are doing is just saying like, you know, when the response goes back to the client, it should always have the CSRF token attached to it so that the client has that token stored.
But the token is there. It's the, I mean, if I'm like, it ends up with the cookie being is none. Is the way that the tests are failing.
I mean, my theory is that the token is on the cookie, but it's just not being parsed correctly. But the failure is asserting that the cookie doesn't have the CSRF token, therefore the client may not be able to access it.
Yeah. Go right ahead and print it.
Okay, so hopefully this actually. Let's see if it actually printed out anywhere. Okay, here we go. So it looks like in here, so we have a session. We have the a session key, and then we have the CSRF token. So I guess what's happening is that. Oh wait, is this right? So, oh no, wait. Oh no, I know what the problem. Okay, the session key has nothing to do with it. So I think what the problem is that the cookie has both the CSRF token and it has this same site lax thing.
Yeah, there's just a few things in there.
Yeah, and so when it's doing this,
it can't. It's making an assumption that it would be the first item, and it's not.
So I guess what I'm thinking here is like rather than creating a list and then grabbing the first one, what my tendency to do here would be to try to look up the key that we're looking for on the cookie.
Right.
And then if we get a key error, then, you know, return none or whatever. But that way we're not like, looking at multiple values here.
Yeah, it's like that on line 376. I mean, we're doing a request for cookie where we're handing it, the RV is the response, and then it's like self.csrf._crs underscore. I guess actually in the shared thing, I could be highlighting it rather than reading it out.
Oh, yeah.
Where are you there? You're on line
376.
Where's it gone? Yeah. So here, so this is being passed through, and that becomes the cookie name, and so we're sort of we're trying to match the cookie. We're basically only allowing it to find it if that cookie name happens to be the first one. So yeah, as you say, we should. I mean, I'm a bit. Partly also I'm sort of inclined to the debate is I'm interested here with like that first on line 381 when cookies gets returned, that list, like what I'd sort of love to see exactly what that format was in. Is that kind of like an array of strings, or just, do you know what I mean? Like there's, in terms of if we're going to like adjust this method to work, like being able to easily see the exact form of the data structure for each thing would be good. What might also be helpful is if we were able to run a single test at a time rather than the full suite. I don't know if that's, is there a quick, like in the you often just put dot only on the test.
I don't, let me see, what is he using for the, I think he's just using unit test here and like the Python standard library, and then as far as, let's see,
I'm just looking at,
like for the test runner, I think all he's doing is like using unit test, and I don't think it provides that functionality. I know, like
looking at a this is a kind of a blog for, this is he using unit test or PyTest?
I think he's using a unit. I think he's just using the built-in unit test and not using any
extra. Like a -q flag where you can specify the class name.
Oh, okay.
I'll bring this into the view here.
Let's see. Let me jump back over there.
I guess you can, and you can conceivably edit the doc file to or compose to.
Okay, let's see. All right, so Q skips or it
there's that, therefore in each framework make it a call out for. This is turning off the way to call an individual class. I mean, there's the so yeah, which is, well, yeah, it seems like -m unit test.
Yeah. I think the -m is like to run it as a module. Let's see.
It's odd that they've called it test skip. I mean, I think.
Yeah, but that's but it's saying that should be the way to. Okay, let me see. Let me just try. I'll modify this. Oops. Okay, so. Actually, be in the Docker compose. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, so I'm just like running the file itself, but let me see, what does he do in setup.py, the thing that you were pointing to earlier?
Oh yeah, that thing was
test. Oh, okay, test suite. It just gives it the file name, and then
through setup.py.
I don't know exactly what's the setup tools, like what it does when you do this test suite thing, but yeah.
It looks like test suite, just test csurf is just the name of the file.
Yeah.
I think you're probably better, as you are, like just doing Python 3 and then hitting the, I don't think the setup is really giving us anything that, particularly if it's passing on some occasions.
So what you were looking at was saying that if you do,
I mean, I can even try it out locally in 6 with, well, it's interesting because the little thing that I was looking at there, it's funny because it seems to be saying like, oh, just run Python and then I don't know what, at least what it had was -m unit test and then -q, and then it was the name of the class. So we've got this, you know, well, I guess let's be, well, might as well be that one. csurf test case disabled cookie. I don't know. I'll just see if it like runs fewer there on my side. And I get no module named csurf test disabled cookie. It seems to have in the
oh yeah, I think maybe you need to just put the name of that
module.
Like, yeah, the module in front of the class.
Yeah. What would be the module in this context?
I think it would just be Flask. Or no, yeah, test. I guess test csurf.
Are we in a
test csurf dot and then the class name?
Test underscore csurf, like this.
Yeah.
And then dot.
Yeah.
So that ran 30. That ran. We seem to have increased the number of tests. I guess did
maybe. Oh, I think because you have both of them, it's doing that.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that allowed me to run just 3 tests.
There. Okay. So let me put that over into my little. Okay, so Python 3 in unit test Q, and then
let
me see if this actually, I don't know if I might need to do something a little bit different here, but
and I'm reading another post that suggests that maybe I can even pick a single method from that. Yes, I've been able to successfully run a single test.
Okay, so if you just do dot with the method name,
yeah, you then dot the method name.
Okay. All right. Okay. So now, if I'm doing it from this Docker compose, well, I guess the other thing I can do is just not really try to mess with this. I was thinking because like the Docker compose is not by default, it's not in that directory, so I can't remember exactly what the Docker file, like what I would do to have it run that command with like go to a particular directory and then run that command. But
would it be as simple as just doing cd and then like opt app like that. I thought there was a Docker command for like change directory.
Yeah, just like cd and. Right, well, I'll try that really quick. Oops.
Oh, I think it's like run cd. Seems what I'm reading. Oh, you're doing it there. I guess if you're using Docker compose, you're not using the Docker file, or it
yeah, it uses the Docker file, but then you can like override the command, so it's like ignoring the command in the Docker file.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I guess maybe hold on. Let me see here. Oh. File not found. Maybe if I do the in the Docker file, isn't there like a thing called like dir or something like that? Or
the thing I was just reading online was like you can just do run and then do do cd.
Oh, okay, run.
Yeah, I mean there's a workdir thing as well. I mean, change another one to actually use workdir.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could do like workdir and then just the string of the directory that you want to be in.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. So let's see if that.
Do you want that to be opt app or opt dir there?
Sorry. I'm typing and listening at the same time. Okay, let me see what this does now. Okay, yeah, there we go. So this one, I had a. Oh no, wait, no, that didn't work.
So it's running a single test, but it's saying no module named test_csurf.
Yeah, it's basically just not able to run that.
I mean, I guess part of the confusion here. I mean, you're saying you're confident that the Docker compose command overrides the Docker file. Like
yeah, at least the command part, and maybe it ignores the workdir. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, so I guess there's like the question might be for Docker, change directory for Docker compose.
Yeah, let's see.
Context or workdir for Docker compose. Okay, so it's I think in Docker compose you need working _dir as a like maybe after the build directive.
Okay.
I could even pop it in since we've got the. What I'm reading is that we might do this, and then we would have opt app there. That might be worth.
Okay. Right, so
yeah, working dir. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So what I did in that case is I just ran this is the test that I added, and I think in my class there's actually just that one test. So
all right,
I didn't specify the single test.
Yeah. And you added already an additional print to try and print out the set of cookies for us.
Yeah, but I think that was on the other test. So let me just
okay.
move that over to mine.
Yeah. Good call.
So delete them from here. And then let's see here, skip validation. All right. Okay. So in this case, okay, maybe it would. Oh, I see. Okay, so the full array is just really one cookie,
but with a series of key value pairs.
Yeah, and then
so then the parse cookie.
Oh, I see. And then so then the parse cookie takes out the stuff like the expiration and some stuff like that. Oh wait, no, what's it doing? Oh no, I see. There are two values. So yeah, there's the.
I guess almost in the past.
Yeah,
that
so
was a reliable way of stripping out a lot of the other things, but now there's a couple of things left.
Right. Yeah. And so the same site. And actually, I don't even really curious what this parse cookie. The parse cookie is. Okay, so this is from workzug, which is Flask dependency. So it's not part of the library that we're working with.
So funny, one just a slight thing here is, so I mean, we're now hitting the CSRF test case skip validation, but I do see 5 or 4 tests in there, if I'm looking at the right place.
Yeah.
But I guess, maybe only one of them is doing the cookie matching.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So does that kind of answer your question about?
I think more about what it's doing. I mean, what it makes it seem like is a more reliable thing would be to turn the thing. Well, I guess when you print parse cookie, it's giving us a dictionary there. So yeah, it would certainly seem like the key thing to do is why ever call item 0 on the results of the parse cookie? Just do a lookup.
Yeah.
On the results of parse cookie with the cookie name.
Yeah. So this is how I'm thinking about it. Parse cookie. Cookie, and then get cookie name, and I guess we can do none here. Let's see, and then instead of if key, then we just do. Oh wait, let's see. And here we just do value. So does that make sense to you?
Yes. Is that so? What you're doing there is, if there isn't that key, it will just return none, and then will the I mean, it almost seems like if the default is going to set it to none, then some of 526, 527, and 528 are kind of, you can just return value without checking for the presence of it, couldn't we?
Yeah, and actually, I'm pretty sure I don't even need this. I think get will return none by default.
Anyway,
so
I mean,
really, we could just do return, or no.
Well, either way, it's certainly worth a try. I mean, on my side, I've got the debugger hooked up and just playing with my local.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess the problem here would be like if it actually hits the session cookie, then we're going to return none when actually there is the other cookie, because it's like looping through these cookies. So we don't.
What's funny is it's got like a list of cookies, and then so if it like, I guess there are two cookies, right? There's a session cookie and the other cookie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we do this. Okay, so that passes. Still passes. And how many?
With it, yeah, how many you need to do before you're. Well, I mean, it's almost like, given that it makes sense to us that it would know, because I guess the other thing is like there can be multiple. There's like two cookie strings here, and it's looping through both of them, and so it doesn't matter what order those two cookie strings are in, as long as CSRF token is in one of them, it will essentially find it and then pass back the value.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just sort of playing around with mine locally, whereas I've got a cookie. Let's see, ours cookie for it gives back that, and I'm just validating in my mind the thing here, and then you were doing the get like this, and then so I mean I just want to see what happens if I get something that is not in there. I get it responds with nothing. It doesn't quite enable the up, down, left, right. I'm going to grab this bit or nudge it to here. Grab that. So now, if I get it correct there, CSRF token like that. Yeah, so I'm pretty satisfied that you've licked it there. I mean, it would. I guess what I would be tempted to do as a first pass, given I don't know how long the CI takes on whatever is Travis, I'd be tempted to like sort of for us to quickly make the wholesale changes here, like for it to pass maybe for all of the versions, we need to make that change. I mean, it's kind of like so tempting with this repeated get cookie thing to want to dry that out, but I'd also be cautious about doing further refactoring before we've established that. Like, I think it's definitely part of the fix, but the question is, will it be 100% of the fix?
Right. Yeah.
And do we then accidentally introduce some other things by the refactoring? And I'd almost be tempted to open an issue and say, look, you've got a thing here that needs drying out. Yeah, but so I guess we could now sort of team up. We could sort of divide and conquer on the get cookie. So I'm just trying to find the one that you've fixed. I think I'm in your screen share thing here.
Yeah, I just fixed the one that was the skip validation one, the test that I wrote that I introduced.
Which is this one. No, I haven't. I guess I should be able to find it if I search for a .get, and then cookie back. There we go.
Yeah.
Yes. And so yeah, here you were thinking that we could in principle just return their get cookie name, which seems like that does. Okay, where was on? I can't go back. Oh, it's so annoying that I can't go up and down in the environment there. But if we take in this case, I could ask the question: is that equal to none? Can't do it like that.
Oh yeah, just two equals. Yeah.
Too much JavaScript.
Working on JavaScript today.
Yeah. So it's it definitely is none. So that makes that seem like, as you were saying, this could become very simply this.
Oh, but so the reason I didn't do that is because there's actually multiple. Is that right? So there's multiple cookies.
Oh, right. I guess it could find a none in the first one. Yeah. So it needs to complete the loop on the off chance that the first one is not a.
Yeah.
You just say, and you're absolutely right. So, well, I could get to do. Well, given that you drove the solution there, I guess I can like quickly go and find the other get cookie ones, which are basically all the same, aren't they? It's right for an automated refactoring. Get cookie, get cookie, get cookie. And is that all? And that's there as well. Introduce too many line breaks. Is that all of them? Maybe. Let's just do a search for get cookie. We need the definition of it, so let's do a search for def space get cookie. All right, so this one here is getting cookie name, getting cookie name, getting cookie name. That one looks like the old style. I'm introducing extra line breaks. Let's do Control F and search for. What are we searching for? We're searching for def. Okay, get cookie name, get cookie name, get cookie name. Yes, so now all instances of cookie names, and I think I've introduced an extra line break there. So yeah, so I guess what I would be tempted to do now is save and run, like not the specific test, but run the whole suite a couple of times.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure we didn't screw anything up.
Right, which is always I do so love version control.
Yeah. So let me go back to my Docker Compose here, and then we will just remove this, I guess. And then
interesting. Value is not defined. What line was that on?
Oh, so that would be in the 564.
I think what I've done is I've replaced that with return, and then I deleted it, and oh, silly me. Okay. Stop. Let me fix that. If a cookie go find should be here and delete there and there and there. Yeah, I think I've got them. Yeah, so you could try that again.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Pass. All right. So yeah, we don't seem to have been introduced any new problems, and I think that
we removed all the print statements. Yeah, so I might do a git diff there just to check the set of changes that we've.
Yeah. And let's see. Okay, so oh yeah, just in here. Let me close this really quick.
Yeah, that's looking pretty consistent.
Yeah, did I skip one there? Yeah, looks good. So I think, yeah, I guess I could just go over here, there. Okay. Yeah, so I think that I'm working off of, well, obviously we had my tests in here, so I'm working off of my fork right now. So what I will probably do, rather than trying to open up a new pull request that has my changes with this test fix, I think it would be nicer to open up a pull request with the fix for the tests, and then
just on master. Yep.
Yeah, off of master, right? Rather than trying to kind of like. Well,
I know what you mean. Although the maintainer didn't respond to your point that the tests were already failing on master.
Right.
But yeah, that's definitely the more. Yeah, particularly if you're not in a huge rush to get this in. Yeah, you could do the do a pull request that's just, hey, I notice your masters are failing. That's obviously the one that's easier on the cognitive load for the maintainer to merge in.
Yeah, and I think makes a little more sense in terms of looking through pull requests and stuff like that later on. Like looking through the history, make a little more sense. So yes, I think Yeah, my hope is that he will see that, and that will create some goodwill, and then I can reopen the other pull request and
sounds good. Sounds good.
Cool. Well, we've I guess been at it for about an hour. I'm have another meeting in about 15 minutes, but
definitely time to wrap up. But
yeah, this was cool. I'm glad we kind of got it worked out and explored a little bit of Docker and a little bit of Python testing stuff at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to take a little copy actually of the Docker file configuration that you have. So I've got a copy of that. Obviously, that didn't go into your pull request. But yeah, that like using it to just try out different Python versions is very cool. Yeah. Well, it was a nice sized thing in being able to get all the way through. I appreciate you sort of holding off on, because clearly the hypothesis that you'd worked out in advance was spot on.
Yeah, we've worked through some things with that in the past at work. So with that dictionary ordering change, I was kind of familiar with that already. Cool. Well, I would be happy to do this again sometime.
Sure.
I don't have anything off the top of my head, but
yeah, it would be good. I was just wondering, was there? I forget now, because with different people saying what they were interested in going forward. Were there some other stacks or projects that were of interest to you, or is just sort of anything kind of fun?
So I mean, what I'm most handy with right now is Python and JavaScript.
Right.
But I would be happy to learn something new if you'd tolerate. My my learning curve.
It's all about bringing in those beginner's eyes to help us crazy old folks see what's going on. Yeah, and we've got a lot of React things. Yeah, well, let's we'll keep an eye out for stuff that you'd be interested in pairing on. We do have like some React stuff but then it's got a Rails backend, so that might be an interesting like halfway house for you, where some of it will be familiar and some of it will be new. So yeah,
that'd be cool.
Cool.
Yeah, the only other thing I could think of that is kind of like work related for us that is open source is we're working on a Sketch plugin. Are you familiar with Sketch?
Yeah.
So we have a Sketch plugin and we're working on a new version of it, and we're using their JavaScript. So they've introduced a JavaScript API to their plugin environment. And previously you would have to they basically exposed all their like internal Objective-C APIs. And you had to kind of like go through CocoaScript or something. I don't do that like native development for the Mac, so I don't really know exactly how it all fits together. But anyway, it was very unstable because it was just their internal APIs, and they didn't have any guarantees about stability. So they've now introduced a JavaScript API that's supposed to maintain. It's like a wrapper around their internal stuff. So, and that's supposed to maintain some level of stability. So as we're working on our new plugin, sometimes we find places where we need to like add some things to their JavaScript API, and all of that is open source. So
cool.
That's something that we occasionally work on at work. If you're ever interested in doing something like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, definitely share the repo in the pairing channel, and can let me know if something I've got this new itch to just like go try random new things, and try and expand and learn and grow. Just out of interest, with the Docker file and the Docker thing, what was you were running Docker Compose build? What was the command that you were using?
Oh, Docker Compose run. Here.
And then did you have to specify the? I've copied the actual files.
I just do that. Oh yeah. So let's see. Docker Compose run cserf. So run is, and then you just give it the name of the container in the Docker Compose file. So, and you can also do. Typically, when I do this, I didn't do it this time, but normally I do. If you do Docker Compose run --rm CSurf, then it runs the container, and after it finishes, it actually destroys that container.
Ah.
Um,
oh, that's good for. I guess it's telling me from my one. I don't use Docker so much locally that I need to start Docker from Mac. But
oh,
not to worry.
You'll have to have like.
I guess maybe I need to install. Anyway, let's not. You've got your next thing to go to. Wonderful to meet you and connect up. And I'll probably do what I did like last week. Brian is like, I might write a little blog tomorrow and share the video and stuff if you're up for that. And hopefully we can grow a bit more of a broader pairing community. Yeah,
that would be awesome. I enjoyed this a lot. As I said, pairing is kind of new for me, so it's been a great experience.
Yeah, it's good fun. And the what's it called? The VS Code live share worked pretty well, didn't it?
Yeah, that's awesome. I might try to do that with some folks at work in the near future.
Cool beans. All right, well, have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah. All right. Have a good one.
Bye for now. Take care.